Hey there. 1 out of 5 people will experience limerence deeply impacting their sexual relationship. So we're going to talk about what that is, some myths around limerence, and what you can do about it. So what limerence is an intense obsessive crush. So this can cause problems when we're not in relationships, right? So it can be all consuming, it can inform decisions. Maybe you don't see this person in clear light. Maybe you don't see that this person has this other side of them that may not be a beneficial relationship for you because the crush is so strong. So there's legit things that can happen outside of a relationship. But for the purpose of this video, we're talking about, hey, if you have this limerence thing happen, this intense crush on another person, what is that doing to your relationship? Is it impacting your relationship? And what can you do about it? So if you are new to my channel, welcome. I'm Dr. Diane, board-certified sexologist, founder of mylibidodoc.com. Another thing I wanted to let you know before we jump into some of the myths on limerence, as well as some of the solutions and what you can do for limerence, is this. 49% of people report thinking about someone else during sex sometimes, right? So that's basically half of people have moments during sex where they are thinking about somebody else. So let's break down these myths and then let's talk about, hey, what to do about it. Because if you're thinking about somebody else during sex, if you are especially obsessed and you're crushing on somebody so hard when you're in a relationship, that could actually impact your sex real performance with your partner. That could influence your relationship and so much more. So let's first talk about the myths, then we're going to talk about strategies and solution. So the first thing is limerence, having this obsessive crush on somebody else, does not mean that you're not attracted to your partner. So we can be very attracted to our partner, still very much in love with them, very much interested in the relationship, and still have this happen with somebody else. Right? We are capable of finding many people attractive and many people alluring at the same time. And I think this is an important myth to hear because sometimes I find people like experiencing this internal distress where they find themselves in this strong obsessive crush on another person. It can lead to the next thought in the brain being something like, well, what does this say about my relationship with this partner? And maybe this means that I'm not supposed to be with my partner anymore, right? And that does not have to be true at all, right? We can both coexist. It can coexist that we have this obsessive crush and our partner is still the right person for us, okay? Limerence is often about fantasy, not a true actual desire, right? So sometimes we can have this crush on this fantasy of like, we see this person, we have a few interactions with them, and they're just, so sexy. And with limerence, we can project our fantasies of who we think they are and how we think that we would interact together, say in a relationship or in the bedroom. We can project this fantasy onto them. And then what the obsession can be is a combination of maybe some energy, maybe some flirtatious energy, with a projection of our fantasy of that, okay? So that's an important thing to realize. Now, myth number 2 is you cannot control limerence, so it will ruin your life. So some people think like, oh my gosh, it's just out of control. I can't stop thinking about this person. I can't stop, doing this thing. So with limerence, there is this mind wandering, right? It is the mind wandering onto this other person. However, we are not a victim to it. There's things we can do it when these things happen, which is what we're going to talk about. There's things we can do to control it. There's things we can do to put boundaries on it. Okay, so that is actually going to lead me into solutions. So one really helpful solution on limerence is not to continue to feed it. So what we can do is actually take it and use it as juice and sexual charge to put into our relationship. So if we see if we notice our mind wandering to this other person, right, what we can do is set a boundary and say, okay, when I notice my mind wandering, my boundary, my goal is to not allow myself to create this, okay, well, what if this and what if that and how wonderful would that be? We set a boundary on it, on our rules around like, okay, it's actually very natural and normal for this to happen, right? It's very normal to have crushes. It's very normal to be attracted to other individuals. But what you can do with limerence is you can set a boundary where you say, if I'm feeling these things and I notice I feel these things, I'm going to stop my mind there from future projecting onto this other person. And instead to say, okay, this feels like juicy. I have all of this energy inside of me. So then we can start asking ourselves different questions instead of asking ourselves and future projecting about this person who's a fantasy in many ways and an illusion that we've created of what that person is. We can then start to say, okay, well, how can I actually take this energy that I'm feeling, this sexual charge, and how can I actually put that back into my relationship? And in what ways do I see qualities that I really am projecting and fantasizing about this other person? And what ways do I actually see that in those qualities in my partner? So we take that energy and instead of fueling it towards another person, we actually use that consciously to flip back onto our relationship and say, hey, how do I get more here? And how do I take this energy and put it back into my partner? Now, of course, there are situations always, right? There's always caveats. So there's always situations in the world where it's not the right relationship with a partnership you're in, right? That is possible, but that is not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about here is situations where you love your partner, you want to be with your partner. It's like maybe just not working in this one way, but you're like, yes, I'm committed to this. Yes, I want to make this better. Yes, I'm invested in this relationship. Yes, we're going the same direction. Yes, we have core desires and values that are in alignment, and this is a good relationship, but yet there's these obsessive thoughts with another party, with another person. So this is the type of scenario I'm talking about where it's like, yeah, I want to be in this relationship, but your brain is projecting somewhere else. So we take that and we take that as fuel to say, how can I find these things that are like, okay, that I am feeling attractive about? How can I use that and ask the question of, okay, what qualities do I absolutely just go nuts over with my current partner? And if I'm having these fantasies, how do I bring in, what ways can I express this with my current partner? So if you need help with this, I do really encourage you to go and get my yes, no, maybe checklist. So my yes, no, maybe checklist, what it is a checklist to help you with going through fantasies with a partner and actually determining what things that you are interested in, what things your partner is interested in, what things you're like, oh, wow, you want to try this and I want to try this. And what things are off the table, what things are the maybes, what things are the things that like, okay, in the right situation, you could actually turn into a yes, right? So the idea is, hey, we're not suppressing limerence. We're not saying this is bad to have those feelings. What we're doing is setting boundaries on it and redirecting it back towards our partner. So we're not suppressing it, but we're not feeding it towards that other person by like projecting around, oh my goodness, and then like, what if we went home together, and then what if we did this, and then what if we did this, and this person is just the most amazing thing. And that can really start to move your energy away from your current partner. So instead you feel that energy and realize, wow, I'm a sexually charged being, right? So it's normal to feel those things, but how do I take that and how do I actually feed that back into the relationship that I am invested in, that I do want to grow? That's how we actually transform that energy and use it as ways to make our relationship stronger. So the yes, no, maybe checklist you can find at mysexdoc.com. So mysexdoc.com, you download that checklist, take it with your partner, and that can give you insight onto things that, hey, these are fantasies or new novel things or things you can explore together to help you maximize bringing that fantasy back into your relationship. So that's it for now. Please do subscribe. Ciao for now.